Okay, when you're cue to come on,
Oh,
Bill.
sure. Okay. I'll just.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and this is a podcast about fighting CPS and getting your children back. Um, I'm glad that you all have come here to this podcast. You found us via Facebook. We're operating on YouTube with the application called SteamYard, and this is being broadcast live from Southern California. And my podcasts are on uh, 7 days a week, twice a day, once at 10 in the morning, another time at 7 o'clock at evening at Pacific Standard Time. So we have that there. We do have a guest, and before Bill talks on the show, I want to go over a couple things with you all out there. First, I want to thank Vincent Davis um, and Associates for this production of the podcast. And if you need any help, he can be reached at 888-888-6582. If you want to say a comment, I welcome comments. Keep them to Child Protection Service matters. All I ask is your name, city, and state, and I'll try my best there. Hi, Daniel. Glad to see you again. Daniel's been on a regular show several times, so it's good to see you. So, right, you're from Georgia. That is right, you're from Georgia. Well, our guest today is from New Jersey, so we have a different area there. Now, if you want to be on my show like Bill is, all you have to do is email to my producer, Grace at vincentwdavis.com, and he gladly puts you on the. She will gladly put you on the show. You just pick either morning or evening, and either one of the days of the week, Monday, Sunday, whatever day you like. There. Welcome, Kedar Smith, and she's from Florida. So we have Florida and Georgia and New Jersey. So anyway, that's how you can get on to the show there. Um, One of my first rules that I like to give everybody, and it's the hardest rule because it's called getting an attorney. And I'm sorry to tell you that, but this is like open heart surgery. Like open heart surgery, you're going to get a professional doctor that's been trained, educated, been through an internship, has mentored another doctor before they perform work on your body. Well, CPS is worse than open heart surgery. It's a tangle of mess. I don't know if you know the story of Alice in Wonderland. She fell in the rabbit hole and couldn't figure her way out. That's what CPS is a lot like. A lot of doors, a lot of places, and they're not very hospitable people. They don't care about you. They'll disillusion you. They will use police wrongly. They'll take your kids, even if they're not extreme conditions. They'll convince you to get in your home, and they're tricksters, and their whole purpose is $1 billion business. They're making money, and so I recommend strongly that you get an attorney. I didn't have one at first. I tried to fight it, and I got nowhere, and I went to the top dog. So I'm telling you that right now, Mr. Davis is offering a consultation for 30 minutes. He is a family law attorney, very professional, been doing it a long time. He's a trial attorney. He has sued civilly both CPS, both the state and federal, so he knows them quite well. Anyway, he's offering for 30 minutes, $49.99, a consultation about strategies with fighting CPS and getting your kids back. So call in 888-888-6582 and tell him that Bob Pace sent you, and speak to Mr. Davis, say that Bob Pace sent you. So we're going to let Bill take it from here, and he's going to tell his case. Uh, you need to start from the very, very beginning, Bill, and tell me the allegations and what children are involved and what kind of relationship you have. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, my story kind of began back in 2013. I, at the time, living in this area, where casinos and kind of wild and a little crazy here. And I went through a little bit of a spell from age 30 to 40. I ended up receiving a notice from the court to take a blood test for an 11-year-old boy. I found out I was the dad, and at the time, his mother had developed a drinking problem, and he was in the firm grips of CPS, and family court was in process, and I got included to family court. Um,
Now you're the biological father, but you have nothing to do with this girl.
well, I did it one time. That's how we got the
Right, right,
boy.
right. Okay, so they're now looking for family members, and they always go with the biological mom and father, and so maybe you have a more stable environment than she did.
Well, it turned out that when I finally was allowed into family court, because I had to be cleared for the judge to consider me as a place for this young fella to go.
Okay,
So that took some time, but while that was going on, they were family court was in process. He had been placed with his aunt, and he was living with his aunt, his mother, and she was at court. His mother was at court, and then I got entered into the family court. Now, if you consider this, at this time, I'm in my fourth year as a volunteer for the Boys and Girls Club, having been cleared by them 4 years earlier to be able to volunteer with children.
okay,
So I go through the process a whole year of family court. Half of the visits were postponed. So I spent a lot of time sitting around getting to know the aunt, getting to know everybody involved. As the year ended, it turned out this young fella that was my son, he had a sister also that was not mine. He didn't want to be separated from her. So
okay,
we all came to an agreement that I would sign my parental rights over it, but be allowed access to him, and he would continue living with his sister with the aunt in that environment. Since he's 11, we developed a relationship. Here it is. Since 2013, this is 10, 11 years later, we've had a relationship, father and son. He just spent a week, 10 days with me at Christmas, and we've made the best out of the situation over the years. Fast forward to 2018, I have a child with disabilities.
this is a second relationship.
Yeah, that all kind of went its way, and I met another woman in 2018. We had a child. I never
Okay,
realized what was going on in the background with me at while all this family court was in process. I assumed that I'm found to be the father. I paid my child support. I engaged with my son. We have a relationship today. I did everything I could and was asked to do. And about 8 months after I have this child, I have two ladies knocking at my door. They're asking me for the landlord's phone number. And to kind of fast forward a little bit, I they lied to me. They didn't tell me why they were there. They didn't tell me who they really were. They told me they were investigating my landlord and needed to reach her, but she lived right in front of me.
okay,
I had to put it together after a while because once I put it together, hey, this is kind of goofy. I ended up simultaneously receiving documentation from the tax offset program after I filed my taxes that showed me they had to make a deduction from my return for monies that were due to the court lawyer that I had way back in 2013.
the public defender. Okay,
Yes, I didn't really need the attorney. I think like a mother or father who's lost a parents due to CPS, I was just coming on the scene. I had never had 5 minutes of care of this child, and yet they ran me over back and forth. As it turned out, years later, as I'm finding out. As it turns out, there's a judgment that was recorded in 2013. My name appears on that. I'm having trouble getting a copy of. I after having this little guy with the autism that I have now, I went back to the Boys and Girls Club, and I decided I was going to rejoin with them and begin volunteering again and include this little guy I have.
okay,
And when I got there, the lady who I'm telling you, who she and I enjoyed the warmest relationship. I left in 2013 after 4 years because I found out I had the 11-year-old.
okay.
And she said, "You go, Dad, go get him." You know, was all high spirited and thanks for everything. And can I come back even in an email? Yes, you. There's never any doubt. In 2000, well, it was actually 2021 when my new son turned 3. I went back there because I realized he had delays. This could be a benefit to him and I and the Boys and Girls Club. I'll go back there. When I got there, the director and I sat down with her. Everything had changed. Her expression, everything. CPS had already been there. They have already been working and building a case against this new child. Now, I still have him. But let me tell you something. I have a disabled child that's not getting care, the type of care that he needs, because she has hustled everybody in his path. And instead of offering him care, which he gets some measure of care, don't get me wrong. But it's real clear to me because I'm a 64-year-old man. I've been in management my entire life. I worked for BMW as a manager. I've been in real estate management. I'm used to looking over people and employees and their behaviors
Right,
and what
right,
they're doing.
right,
It's real clear to me that what half of what they do is implementing some sort of care that he needs. The other half is notes, comments. Um, I've got these detectives at the end of my driveway. I run down to get a picture of their plates, and they race off when I get close. I've had them in my backyard at 7 o'clock in the morning. I've had uh, a call from a friend of mine over at the sheriff's department asking me if I still had my child, and kind of hinting to me that something's up, without wanting to tell me much more than that, but trying to give me some kind of clue. I mean, what's been going on is just horrific. And I've never been in a position to harm or damage a child in my life.
right.
But this is about marketing. This is clear to me. So I started out with Nancy in Georgia, the Congresswoman Nancy, the one that tried to first bring out this stuff about CPS.
Right. There was something about in Georgia about children being shipped to Texas that had mental health problems.
Well,
That
apparently,
came out of Atlanta. Go
from
ahead.
from what I'm understanding, is that it's such a business now at this point that the social workers don't care. The only a child in front of a social worker represents job security, advancement, pay raises, all those number of things, and no concern about where this child is ending up or going.
No, because they work off bonuses and the state. I mean, they collect money from the federal and the state to the tune of $20,000 per child as long as they're in custody.
I paid for home care ABA services. I paid for my son for the past year, and the insurance company. Between the two of us, we put out $80,000 for this kid's care. I've got
Okay.
license plates from Florida, from uh, um, uh, uh, detective plates for people coming here giving care to my son that I don't know who they are, what they are, and uh, I've got they've ordered tests for him that I know have been hit hustle tests on him to just provide stuff for the family court venture that's down the road, and I really got a feeling it's just a matter of time. I think they're gonna. I don't know why they haven't done anything yet. Uh, uh, but I feel like I'm just enjoying him while I can, and wake up every day with this fear that today's the day, tomorrow's the day. They're coming, and and I've researched this for 4 years. There's no defense to this.
Well, there is. It's costly though. That's the sad part because you have to get a professional attorney.
I'm
Um,
trying to stop this before it happens because I have all the evidence that he's being hunted.
right, right. Well, attorney's the best person to help you out. It's got to be a family law attorney who's familiar with CPS. CPS doesn't care. They're very deceiving, and they just what are the allegations they're saying that you're? I mean, what are the allegations?
Oh, he hasn't. We haven't had them come in our door or knock to come in our door. I just know that they're all around him. I can smell it, the stink. Um, they've contacted my neighbors, and I think the icing on the cake was when I got the call from a friend of mine at the sheriff's department who was scared stiff to make the call to me, asking me if my if I still had my son. So, and by the way, the Congresswoman's name, and thank you for whoever printed, was Nancy Schaefer
Okay.
from Georgia.
All
Anybody
right.
out there that's having problems should pull her up and especially go to the some of her YouTube videos. I think if I have a claim right now that I would say that is disturbing me the most is I have a child with disabilities who has civil rights to care and getting the best care that he can get. And while he's not getting that and is instead being hustled, his care is being affected. And
Right.
there has to be something,
Well, where's
some
the
way.
child? Is the child still with you?
We never lost him. I just know that they're case building. I can tell. I've got all the
Right.
evidence they're case building.
Well, what do they have? They ever said any indication of what they say? You're on drugs. You're neglecting the child. You're abusing the child. What is it they're saying?
Well, neglect is a big category of opportunity for them because that's where they can they can. I think that what they want to say is he has disabilities due to troubles in the home.
Well, the
3
disabilities you said were you was born with them, right?
Yeah, well, he wasn't diagnosed with autism till he was 3. Remember now, he's 5
That's
now,
probably yeah.
and the first 3 years of his life, he had
Do
a
you have that diagnostic thing from the doctor?
the diagnosis.
Yeah, the diagnosis.
Yes, I do.
Well, hang on to it because you need to use that as supporting that it isn't something brought on by you.
Yeah, I mean, we've never had a domestic complaint. Neither of us are drug users. I've never been a drug or drinker. I believe
Right.
it's just
Well, they always feed on that. They're going to make you want to take drug tests. They're going to want to come in your home, which my rule number three is you don't allow them in your home. You do not talk to social workers. You don't say yay or nay. You try to avoid very little with them, and you can always scare social workers off by saying that I have an attorney, and my attorney and I will get back to you. And you may not have an attorney at the moment, or you may be in the process of getting one, but they don't know that. That gives you a little bit of breathing room because they're hoping you don't have an attorney, they're hoping you don't have money, so they can take advantage of you.
well, I have to tell you, I started this research about 4 years ago. Was my first experience. Uh,
Wow, four
when the
years.
Yeah, this is going on for 4 years of his care, and it's I go in to take him to a speech therapist. I walk in, she's got a camera crew set up in the therapy session. I said, "What's the camera crew for? I don't want pictures and film taken of my son without good reason." Oh, well, we just want to use it for educational purposes for training. I said, well, you can't do that. I said, and you have it set up. You haven't asked me in advance or given me anything, in any kind of written explanation of what this is. And I'm telling you, it's incident and incident and incident. Every single person in this care group pulls some kind of number like this. It,
Have you tried to go to supervisors to question what they're doing?
I went to the supervisor in this particular case, and she said, I'll look into it for you. And she put me with a different therapist. A couple of weeks went by, and I said, "What can you tell me about that surprise camera session that was set up?" You see, this all falls in the lines with medical kidnap, which has an
Yeah.
excellent site to explain this. And she said to me, she wrote me back because we conversed by email. She said, "We decided we were going to handle this incident in house." That was the answer I
Okay.
got. So, what does that tell you? That means CPS, because they can get away and do that stuff. In fact, I don't even think the HIPAA rights apply to your child anymore if CPS decides they don't.
Well, they still see. That's the problem. Is attorney will be able to tell you what rights what run there, but CPS notorious to violate your civil and your constitutional rights. They will do whatever they want. They don't care, and there's nothing really stopping them. They'll go into homes when they don't have a warrant. They'll take your children when there's not imminent danger. So you really are helpless there. I was hoping that maybe if you talk to a supervisor or something, you could find out what the purpose they're doing. Now, is your child? Do you have a case that's open with CPS?
The only thing, I don't have a case open. He hasn't never been taken. They haven't knocked at my door. I just
They're not getting money if they don't have a case open. They won't get any money. So I don't understand why for 4 years they've been doing this.
well, I'll tell you something, and I don't want to say stuff that sounds like it's far out there. So
Understand, Bill? Go
I
ahead.
won't say that. But when you have 4 years uh, of looking into this, trying to come up with answers, and you're finding out with resource after resource, the money and the source of the money, there's no end to it. The influence, there's no end to it. I've read far out things that say that some of these medical facilities have cameras in them, that administrators allow access to people that want to buy children. And that's probably, when I say far out there, that might be far out there for some to consider. But when it comes to kids and money and reading about adrenochrome, if you haven't seen the movie The Sound of Freedom, you have to see it. Uh,
Okay.
that's the trafficking. That's the CIA agent they made the movie about, who gave up his retirement to make sure he could get this one child that had gotten away, that he felt heartfelt towards. And his supervisors asked him to get back to the office. He said, "I'm not coming back till I get the child." And they fired him a year and a half before his retirement.
Wow.
It's a heartbreaking story. It was the blockbuster hit of this past summer, and nobody's seen it. And my son has 24 licensed professionals in his care group, and not one of them, and they all work with children and should be concerned, not one of them have been willing to see this movie. It's a true
Huh.
story.
I wonder why people don't want to see the movie. What's the name of the movie again?
The Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. Huh.
It's about this human trafficking, and if you go to the podcast that this CIA agent has set up, if you get further interest after seeing the movie, he'll tell you firsthand. These traffickers are no longer hiding in the clergy. They're no longer hiding in the Boy Scouts. These are not good places for them anymore.
Oh, I seen this movie.
Did you?
I Yes, I did. It's don't they have young children on an island where these crazy guys were using them as prostitutes?
Absolutely.
And there was a young girl that a young actually it was a young girl that was taken to a modeling um, audition or something, or and the father let the child go, and then the daughter disappeared. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I've seen that movie. That's a good movie. I don't understand why child protection people wouldn't see them unless they really are doing child trafficking.
Well, not just child protection people, but I'm talking about pediatricians, speech
Huh.
therapists, OT therapists. The friend of mine that runs the Boys and Girls Club refuses to see it. Um,
Why is refusing to see? It's very enlightening because it's where I've been exposing CPS as child traffickers. They are child trafficking. They do child trafficking. CPS does. They do alienation, which is against the law,
if
and
you're
they try to block, or they try to have the children separate from the parents. Their whole goal is to get them into foster care.
foster care is where the fun begins, I think that's where, and let me tell you what, you can't work for CPS, you can't be a social worker, you can't be a school teacher, and the social workers at the schools are no different. They're probably worse. They're You can't hold these jobs and not know the destiny of these children, or not be concerned about the destiny of these children. But if you go to work every day and your job security, pay raises, and all that, you'll turn your back on it. You,
Yeah.
why would you want to know? So when you're the child trafficking network is now $153 billion a year industry. You there?
Yeah, I'm still am. I still am.
Oh, I thought I lost you.
Yep.
When if you just clip onto the trailer for The Sound of Money, the
Right.
opening of the trailer will tell you that child trafficking has now surpassed the drug trade. It's a $153 billion a year industry, and it actually draws more money than the entire drug trade.
Yeah, it does because human trafficking, child trafficking, is number one, and I live in the number one place in the world for human trafficking, and that's right in my backyard here. And it's because we're a very wealthy area, and there's a lot of good-looking children, and they're put easily onto container ships and taken overseas, and not having a passport or identification, they're held hostage, and also they threaten the children with things done to their families. You see, they use the threat. Threat is the easiest way to do somebody. They threaten harm, and young children don't know any better. And as parents, there needs to be better control of our children. This last weekend at Easter Saturday, the Saturday before Easter, there's all these young people, 12, 13-year olds, 16-year olds, at the Indiana shopping mall, and they were partying, doing something. Someone pulled out a gun, and 7 children were shot. And I'm telling you that, uh, where are the parents? They shouldn't have kids out there at 11:30 at night,
Yeah.
especially if they're not with their parents. I mean, I'm from the old school. If a child's under 18, it's my responsibility. I need to take care of them. They
The
don't. They don't go to concerts. They don't. I mean, I still have a young child. He's 18 now, but he was not allowed to do a lot of things that his friends were doing or other people were doing.
the Center for Exploited and Missing Children um, has a stat out for this past year that over 800,000 children cannot be accounted for in the United States.
800, huh?
That's close to 1 million children. And let me tell you
Well,
something. You can't.
there's a million and a half. One for every 20 children, there's one underneath an investigation in the United States. So for
Uh-huh.
every children, one is being investigated.
Oh, I see.
It's
Well,
1.5 million if you want to know the number there. So it's terrible.
well, I kind of knew that number would be the 800,000 would be shaved down because they're just trying to uh, get out ahead of the truth that's coming out.
No, I
And
think, be honest with you, the numbers are higher. I
y-
think anybody that puts a number on anything is always a low ball in the number because um, it's like anything. You hear that 20 people are killed, and then 6 hours later, 40 people are killed, then 100 people. So they always go with low ball numbers. But it is a most important thing. I know we have our open borders, and is an issue, and I know abortion is an issue, but we should also have an issue regarding the safety of our children, the
well,
trafficking of our children, and CPS is one of the leading agencies that traffic children legally.
well, you can go on the site called the Underground Railroad. It spawned from the movie, this movie that I'm telling you about.
Hmm.
If you go on their site, it's there's resources on there. There's
Okay.
awareness, and you can join them. And what they have you do is they have you reach out and to make contacts with local law enforcement, the prosecutor's office, the police departments, sheriff's office, and let them know that you've become a member of the Underground Railroad and your antenna, and you're going to encourage others to have their eyes out and antenna up for what appears to be human trafficking.
Oh yeah, the Operation Underground Railroad and human trafficking, 7,500 rescue and 7,000 arrests.
Yeah. And so if you get on there, and now if you get into it deep enough and make a few contacts, you'll find resources in the CIA where you can provide names of people that you believe are systematically hustling kids. In other words, a social worker, a pediatrician. He
Right.
has a
The Operation Underground is a nonprofit organization dedicated to combating child sexual exploitation and human trafficking.
I think the real problem we have is it's not these guys in hoods with beards.
No,
Jim,
no.
no, it's everyday people, and
Well, you
this
look at the
guy,
movie. You look at the movie.
yeah.
It gave examples of predators and they showed them. They're very looking people. They don't look like they're bad.
Well, when you if you think about something, if you're a CPS director in any community in any location in the country, it's like Nancy Schaefer said, and this is in 2007. She said this. She said that the states have become so accustomed to receiving the money the federal government is paying them, they can no longer meet their budgets without this child hustle that's going on and getting money from the federal
Oh yeah.
government.
Oh yeah. Oh, I agree with you 100%.
So when you're a director of in any location, you're probably getting some sort of regular notice from the state level that you're behind on your numbers of children, stuff like that. There's probably pressures that travel from the top down.
Yep, I agree with you.
So I think I really believe one thing, and I do know I'm not a political guy. I don't like Democrats. I don't like Republicans. I don't like none of it. But I do know this. I know Jim Caviezel, the actor from the movie, and Tim Ballard, who's the CIA agent. They appeared at Trump's home for a screening of this movie. I believe that they filled him in on what's going on, the stuff that we're talking about.
Right.
And I believe that CPS has a lifespan of about 18 more months because I believe when he gets in there, I think he's going to crash that organization to the ground.
Well, I really hope to. The problem being about this, if you look at the history of CPS, it's been around since 1853, and it started to help out children in camps. But if you look at the history from 1853 to the present, there's a lot of hiccups along the way where people have been charged embellishing money, and preying on the children. So the idea that to protect our children through neglect and abuse and family reunification is a good philosophy, but it's not being done so. It's not being done so by child protection service because they found out the money is a lot more important to them than our children is.
Bob, let me add one thing too. When I got rejected this second time around at the Boys and Girls Club, I looked for another place to spend some volunteer time, and I wanted to involve helping kids in whatever way. So I found this organization called CASA. CASA is the organization that gets involved in following the kids after they go from CPS, the court, to the foster care homes. Now, the kids are hustled by social workers and by people that make a lot of money. They're being taken. And then once the process has gone far enough down the road, they're entered into the foster care system where all these people that make comfortable paychecks, have great benefits, great retirements, all that stuff. And the people that follow them up are volunteers with CASA that come and go. And they get tired of being run around checking on kids because when I went to join them, they told me I could be anywhere in the state looking to check in on kids that are in the foster care system to report back. I
Well,
wasn't going to be able to
I
do.
don't understand this CASA or the ombudsperson. There are two types of individuals that are supposed to be helping out children, and all they are is ears for CPS. In
I think
fact,
so.
I've been over. I mean, my children returned back in 2017. They were taken in 2015, so I had 3 years of fighting with them. But my older son, who's 24, still sees his CASA person, and I don't know if she's fishing or what, because I don't understand the relationship she has. He says that she's a great friend, and
Oh,
and here he is. He's 24 years old. She's a married lady. She has a husband. Is she thinking about picking up on my son? These are things that question my mind.
I'm sure a lot of pedophiles find that aren't discovered yet are going in all these areas.
Well, I just don't understand what the purpose of a woman who's married, okay, who's very young looking, she's not that old looking, still is interested in a child that supposedly she was supporting him when he was 15 at the time. He's now
Oh,
24.
and she's interested in him.
But still, they had a lunch date, a month or two ago, but they're still in touch.
Ah, doesn't
And,
sound right.
he's legal, so I really can't say much. I just question it. My wife and I question it.
Well, I'll tell you something. I think if we can do anything, I think the big thing that we can do, the only thing we can do is like you're doing, heighten the awareness. There's the blockbuster hit of the summer, and I can't find anyone that's seen it in my area. You
Really?
know, was the number one movie of the summer. And first of all, they made it hard to see it. It wasn't at all your theaters. You had to find a theater that they could squeeze into.
I'm trying to remember where I saw it. I don't know if I saw it at a theater or saw it on HBO.
Yeah, and they actually for people that didn't have the money to see the movie that were poor, they gave them free access to the movie.
Yeah, I think so. I think my wife has seen it. I think
Well, there's been a couple of movies out there, but
she talked about the movie, but I don't know if she's seen it or not. I remember seeing it. It was really. I went and saw it, and I thought she was with me. It was really terrible because it was started off with a family in South America and how the daughter and then the son were preyed upon, and they tried to get out of the system, and it took them a long time. They got to the island, and supposedly they were saved before the guys that were partying down there were using them as prostitutes.
I don't know what creates this illness in an adult human being. But there's those of us that cheat on their taxes. Maybe they take a little something out of a store. Maybe they are angry by nature and they pick fights with people and maybe harm people, hitting them, whatever. But we have to be a society that draws a line at children.
Yeah. I have some people that are guests on my show right now. They're texting messages. I want to welcome Danielle, who's been on my show. She's from Georgia. Medina's been on before, and um, she and Megan is somebody new. Um, I don't know what state Megan is from. I know you're from New Jersey, Georgia. Megan's from Georgia too. So Danielle and Megan are from Georgia. And
Danielle has a post up that says it's messed up how all this started. I'm real curious because mine hasn't started yet, but she's saying that they were never involved in her life, and it's like they came out of nowhere.
oh, they did. They did something called the new pro trunk that I've talked about. Is where they changed the court orders and they filed a new court order. I
Wow.
mean, new pro trunk is Latin for change, and they're able to do something that was wrong. I mean, for all you listeners out there, I feel for you. I hear from you. It's important we get our Congress people involved, our governors, and our president involved because we need Congress to do something. The Congress several weeks ago had all the CEOs of all the social networks come before them and explain to them why there's no protection for children. And Elon Musk was there, Startleberger from Facebook, with all the TikTok, everybody was there. But the only person that said apologies was Strutberger from Facebook. He just said he's sorry, but instead of Congress asking the CEOs, I agree there should be some mechanism where children are kept from those social networks. Where are the parents? The parents give children phones when they're in sixth grade or fifth grade, and then on top of that, they allow them so much freedom. Like last weekend, we had children out on the streets at a shopping mall at 11:30 at night. Where are the parents? This is something that we as parents got to be parents. That means we need to protect our children. We need to keep them. It's not safe out there. They'll be. I wouldn't be surprised if someone at that shopping mall was kidnapped and now is in some foreign country as a work slave or a prostitute. That's the two kinds of business that children are used for: is prostitution or work slaves. Taking care of a home or whatever it is.
There's I'm trying to find it here, but there's an article that I had read, and it was I got it right here somewhere. I could tell you to look it up. But there's an article written by a child advocate who was in Arizona. Arizona seems to be one of the bad spots for disappearing children. And she wrote an article. This was in 2019. Now, I've written to her to ask her if she's written any follow up articles, but I found the article from 2019, and the article's titled, "How Does CPS Lose Over 20,000 Children When They're Paid to Protect Children?" Because in 2019, 20,000 children disappeared from CPS services. Now, I don't want to comment on where those kids are today, but I can tell you I don't think one of them's in a loving and safe home.
No. Well, did you know that Georgia had an audit of CPS and $389,000 is missing?
Oh, God. No, it gets
That was
better.
told by one of my listeners. You see, I've talked to over 100 some people, and the one common thing everybody has, that CPS is corrupt. And how are they corrupt? It's all about money. And historically, it's shown it's all about money. It's all about money. They've been trying to take care of children since 1853. They now call it child protection services, but I think it's child trafficking because right away when an allegation's made, they believe it. They believe the truth of it.
Well, they push people to call them even. They make it a law. It's a law in New Jersey here. If you see something and don't call, you can you can get arrested for not making the call.
Yeah. Well, if you're a professional, a teacher, a doctor, a nurse, you have to make the call. And within 24 hours, CPS has to investigate it. But the bad side or the downside is the lay people. And the lay people are sometimes using it for retaliation against their family members or against their spouse or against their neighbor. And they will say something that isn't true for the sole purpose of trying to steal that child. And that's the sad part about allegations. I think whether professional people or lay people make them, they need to be in writing, they need to be signed, and if they're false, they can be sued. This thing about being anonymous and someone hides behind a phone and makes up a story is terrible because a lot of these people are low income or homeless and they love their children and they're being taken from them because they don't have the education and they don't have the money to keep their children.
Boy, that's just Jesus. If I was, my son gets everything. He has private health care. I semi-retired 3 years ago when we found out he had autism and went from working 2 jobs to working 7 hours a week for his needs. And I mean, we don't leave anything, a T not crossed, a I not dotted. We're there for him top to bottom. And they're still hustling around the perimeters of our family. I could smell them. I see them. Because I've read so much, I'm recognizing from what I'm reading, what I'm seeing, and what they're doing. I might not even catch it, except that shows like yours, things I've read, Medical Kidnap's a great website. If they want your kid for medical, then you got an uphill battle.
What do you mean medical kidnapping? What do you mean by that?
They have sitting behind the cameras, they have these what they call medical kidnap or medical, or they don't call them medical kidnap. They call them child abuse pediatricians that sit behind the cameras when you take your little guy into a hospital for services. And
Really?
they from watching your child are going to determine from certain behaviors and what they see that the child has issues in the home. And on the medical kidnap site, they call them medical kidnap pediatricians. I'll send
Well,
Grace a copy of a picture of them. You can look at.
right now I'm reading about it. That's really good that you brought it up there. But as parents, you try to do what's right for your kids. That includes seeking medical attention. When you suspect something is wrong, nothing can start your heart faster than wanting to sick child into the middle of the night and race to the emergency room. Well, almost nothing. Imagine that once through the hospital door, your child not be free to leave with you. Medical kidnapping is very real, very terrifying. That describes the scenario where the state steps in to take over child custody. When doctors and parents disagree or the medical care your child should receive, the state then places your son or daughter into foster care where you may not even be granted visitation rights. Is that what you're talking about? Did I lose you, Bill? I think we may have lost Bill. Maybe he'll be back. Um, for all you listening, we've had a very in-depth conversation with Bill from New Jersey, Atlantic County, New Jersey, and he has a son, a special needs son, and what is so uh, sad is that he realizes that child trafficking, and then he's been involved a long time, and they've still not charged him anything, but he still has something going on. I'm trying to. Okay. We lost Bill here. I'm going to put my number back up in case someone wants to call in. If someone wants to call in, that's fine. There's still time left in the show. That's my office number. You can call any of you that are listening right now. Danielle, if you want to call in, Medina, if you want to call in. Let me see what else we had. Megan Cooper, if you want to call in. I can take one of you right now to talk about your case and something else. China, if you want to call in. We have a lot of people this morning that have this interest into to what I call really is a bad case of child trafficking with CPS. They have a caseworker at the hospital, which I didn't really put two and two together. But the reason why they have a caseworker there, I guess, is to speed up. But they can take your children at the hospital. Now, unless they have a warrant, they can't take them out of the hospital. They can't take them from you. You have to give them permission. So it's really important you remember my rule number 3. No to social workers, no to police. Do not let them in your home. And do not let them take your children. They have to have a warrant. They have to have a warrant to get in your home. And it's got to be a legalized document signed by a judge that authorized the search or the taking of an individual, the name and the place he's supposed to be and the time and everything supposed to be on that warrant, supposed to be a wet signature. Because they'll lie, they'll make copies and everything. So I really feel bad for you guys out there. If I knew what I knew now these last 14 years, I would have never lost my children. It was really, really, really sad. Okay, we got someone calling in. Hello, welcome. Who is this? Speak up a little bit louder. Go ahead. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Who's this?
Okay. Danielle.
Oh, hi, Danielle. Welcome. Thank you for calling in. We lost Bill here. Bill
Yeah.
is an older man. He's in his 60s, and he is going through a nightmare, it sounds like, with a son that has special needs. He found out that he's the father, and since he's found the father, he's paid for child support and he's taking care of the child. The mother ended up losing the child because she's too much into drugs and so forth.
The mom ended up losing it, and so that's what brought CPS involved. The mom.
Probably so, because what happened was CPS contacted him because they looked for the biological parents. The rule of thumbs is they try to place them. So when the mother was no longer to have the child, they're looking for.
And that's where they failed me. Like they didn't place. That's what they failed to do with my son.
Right.
My mom died.
Right. Well, apparently he has not been taken, and apparently, he's not been charged with anything. But he says there've been detectives and people searching his place, and he really feels uncomfortable. And then he told me about.
It sounds to me like they're trying to build a case against him.
Oh yeah, they are, because yeah. Well, then he told me about the movie Freedom, which I've seen. It's an excellent movie. And my listeners, please see Freedom. It's an excellent movie. Also, also look up Underground Railroad, Operation Underground Railroad with human trafficking. That's another one. And then, medically, they do take children. They take them from the hospital, could kidnap your child, and they'll take over that. So you got to be really careful taking a child to the hospital now, because you have caseworkers there, and you don't know what they're going to say or going to do.
And you also got the mandated reporters that are mandated to.
Right, they are.
Like a psychiatrist, and it's crazy how people, even these adults, can have the heart to do that, to not only tear a family apart. When like in my situation, they were never involved, and then they act like I'm existent, like I'm not even around. But I stay on them, because I'm not giving up on my kids. It's not gonna happen. I mean,
yeah, well, that's good to know.
My child.
Yeah, that's that.
They have the heart to be like that to any child. These
right.
Kids don't do nothing wrong to them.
Right.
And I mean that's, but like with my son, I'll be honest. When I found out that they had him and they were sending him to Texas, that was my biggest fear. That's the whole because when my son got placed in foster care, it was like he was an orphan. They didn't know where I was, because my aunt told them that she didn't know that I abandoned my kids, which I never did, and that she hadn't talked to me in over 10 years when she just seen me the day she took my son out of my parents' house when I went to get him. And so my Aunt Lion, my son was like an orphan, kind of. Like he was without a caregiver, because my mom passed away. So, but with my Aunt Lion and CPS not doing their job by preventing foster care, that was my biggest fear, is that what they were seeing with my son was trafficking. Like they were going to, and that's why I have a big gut feeling that's why they sent him to Texas, because that was their intention. That's my biggest fear, is my son just all of a sudden disappeared. And no. Because, from Georgia to Texas, that's a pretty good distance. They told me there was no placement in Georgia, when I'm right here and I have family that's here, that's working with me now to get him. And they're taking their quality time now, and he's supposed to be home already, and they're just lollygagging along, but I'm staying on them, because he will be coming home. We're not doing that with my child.
Right.
And I have family, my aunt and uncle, they're helping, because they were never contacted. My mom had brothers and sisters, and nobody was ever contacted. And it took them almost 2 months to find me, while I'm going on a wild goose chase looking, and they kept it from me. Like, he was hidden. My aunt, it was crazy. And I don't see how people can have the heart to even sleep at night and do that to kids. It's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling. And every day that I wake up, I pray that God just watches over him and keeps him safe, because my son, he's a trooper. I call him every day. I see him every day. on video. And he's handled it a lot better than me.
Now, did you check out the Interstate Compact on the placement of children, the ICPC? I want you to look that up. Oh, yeah, okay, good, because it's supposed to protect your children, be safe when they do interstate.
Yes. Well, and what's crazy is I have, we have the video visit. I have to video visit him because he's 4 states away, and I mean, I'm on probation. I can't just up and leave my state,
Right.
And the thing is, and I think that had a big part of them because they knew that as well. But the biggest thing is with this, they are supposed the whole time the kid, like with Bill, the guy that was just on there, that's family. And once he gets them legitimized, they should let him have custody and call it a day. And that's what they're supposed to do. But with when my son, they failed all that. They didn't even do a diligent search for no family or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came about, I kept telling them about my family, all of this, and then now my aunt and uncle have stepped up because they finally found out that that's what, this has been all hush hush, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I even have my disabled special needs brother in my care. I take care of him. I've had him for 8 years.
Okay.
And what's crazy is the guardian ad litem wanted me to put my brother up to the side and get another caretaker for him so I could focus on my son. I said, are you kidding me? I can't do that to my brother.
No,
no. They're both disabled. He's disabled and he don't have nobody but me.
Right. No.
How can
people?
He's the guardian ad litem.
Yeah, CPS is not very realistic because part of the problem with CPS, the workers aren't college educated. They have no classes in social work. They don't have to have a license or a certificate, and they think they are doctors who can prescribe prescriptions. Yeah, yeah. There's.
Aren't they supposed to have a license?
No, well, so far, I've not found anything that says you do. I think they should. I think we should be able to regulate them. I think there should be. Right. Yeah. I think if they're going to be right, if
don't they have to have a license?
Not the only thing I've heard is the clinical license, and those are clinical social workers. There are very few of them.
I think that's messed up that they don't have to have them.
Oh, it is too. It'd be like a policeman. Does a doctor need a license? I mean, if we're going to allow social workers in there, it's like a doctor not having a license. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm close on my time, Danielle, and I'm not trying to, shortchange you. We have about 2 minutes left, but I want to thank all my listeners. This was a very interesting moment because we talked about some other things. We talked about child trafficking, medical trafficking. It is tough. And I want to thank you, Danielle, and Medina for your text messages. I want to thank Bill from New Jersey for his phone call. I want to thank, let's see who else we had here. We had Megan Cooper for your text messages. And then I think we had, China Perez. And some of you have been on before. I remember the names. And I may not have gotten to you, but I wish you'd all keep coming back. I'm on again tonight, tomorrow. So I'm on 7 days a week, twice a week there. I want to thank Mr. Davis for producing this podcast. And if you need help, call him at 888-888-6582. And you can call him and he can help you out. He has a strategy session for $49.99 that he'll do is $50. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes, and he'll talk about a consultation, and he'll talk about that. So I want to thank all you listeners. God bless you. Do not forget to fight for your children, and I'll see you tonight. This is Bob.